All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:33. It is January 27th. It is Tuesday, the day before Fed Day. Just like that, right? All of a sudden, month goes by. Anyway, good morning to everybody. Good morning, Blair. Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Teaching Joy. We got a lot of people in the house. Actually doing an open house for the Alpha team this week for people to try it out. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Also founder of Red Dog Mindset. And here we are at the 630 Club. Been doing the 630 Club since 2020. For those of you who've been tuning in, hopefully you're doing well. Most people have been making a lot of money. I try and go over the levels, the charts, what's happening. And at this point, we have a little bit of a rotation, right? Last Wednesday, Thursday, Mega Cap Tech woke up. Everybody that was saying tech is dead, the Mag 7's cooked. Over, by the time that sentiment got so loud, all of a sudden you get a rotation again where people come back to the Mag 7s and then they sell some growth and you get a little bit of a reversion to the mean. So yesterday was one of those days where you had like a reversion to the mean where, or it continued, right? So real quickly, take a chart, look at the chart of the SPYs. Last week on the 630 Club where I did a Friday, I'm doing Fridays now for those who have subscribed to Red Dog Mindset. I'm like, can we hold the inside range? And we held the inside range. And yesterday we poked above that. And now all of a sudden, look at this. Almost right back to the highs. 696.09s right there. SPYs are up 220. And just like that, boom, looks like ready for all-time highs. Remember Greenland? That was here. That was we, almost lower for whatever it's called, for January. But anyway, and then what's interesting to me is you look at the chart of the Qs. You look at the chart of the Qs, and everybody said tech is left for dead. It's going to be small caps. It's going to be energy. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. But meanwhile, when you go back to October, right? So November, December, 3 months, a 3-month channel that looks like at some point they're going to be taking this out. Obviously we need a little bit of cooperation from the Mag 7 and, the earnings coming up, but I wouldn't be short the Qs. Some people like short the Qs. What the hell are you doing shorting the Qs? Anyway, with that being said, this too perked up. Look at the strength of that candle. That was the Wednesday when money rotated into some of the Mag 7s. And I don't know if they're going to be able to break out the markets before Wednesday, before the Fed, but just be a little careful. Why were we not in the Qs yesterday? I hear you. I wasn't in the Qs yesterday. I tried to be in tech. I tried to be in a few things. It's funny. It's like Apple, for those of you who are, we were trying to be in Apple in here, and then on Friday, it's cute how the computers are really that good. They basically, brought Apple from down $1 to down like $3, $3 on Friday. And then all of a sudden it came back up, and then you look, boom, yesterday was a pretty powerful day. Now where it has resistance around 259. So that was, again, this is just a oversold bounce, and it's our job to be able to catch that. So, if you use the methodology where you sell when, like right here, most active traders on December 15th got out of their Apple, probably at the Red Dog reversal up here, but this was the confirmation when it broke the 8-21 day. If you sell when it breaks the 8-21 day, you could buy it at the 200 day. And if you did that, hey, you made some money. And this morning, Apple is, up a bunch. So here's Apple. Apple's up to another 289, just like that. It changes so fast. Anyway, if you're involved in some, congratulations. If you're not, it is what it is. Google still seems like the mag that's going to make a new all-time high fastest. So, Here's 340.50. There's 335. It's been above the 8-21 day. This is still the best in breed mag. It gets above 340.50. You'll have a nice little trade to all-time highs there. Amazon, BAML came out on Amazon really, really positive again, but they keep doing it. Just the dynamics of Amazon are a little tough with Jeff and Mackenzie selling it all the time. I'm in some Amazon, and we'll see if we can get above 241-ish at some point. If it can, there's a nice little void there. So Amazon's a focus. So yesterday, I came in long Tesla, and they beat the hell out of Tesla yesterday. There was like all these different pieces of news out about autonomous driving and this and that and boom and bam. So I got stopped out of my Tesla, but I bought options on the decline, because usually if you want to buy options for an event, it's better into weakness because you could not pay the spread and it costs less. So anyway, Tesla, pretty ugly candle yesterday, but it is what it is. Sometimes it does that prior to a move. But anyway, you have 452, 455, 454. So what I did yesterday into the weakness, because I'm kind of anticipating that maybe Elon says something that's worthwhile on Wednesday on the conference call, and the street wants to, react well. I bought the 455 calls for Friday into this weakness. So it would be nice if today, Tesla, which is up a little bit, holds and kind of repairs, because right now that candle is pretty ugly. So we'll see if it could repair fast. If so, I will position myself, pretty cheap into that. If not, risk is premium paid. So moving along, a lot of people like, Red Dog, what happened with the small caps? Well, look at this topping tail. Look at this topping tail right there, extended from the 8-day. I actually bought puts on that day because I was like, it's so extended. I need to hedge some of my super growth and this and that. And all of a sudden, so on these 3 down days in small caps, that's when the mega caps got some flows. That's what you call rotation. And I know it's vicious and it's fast, but you look back like, wait, I could have seen this a little bit better, right? Look at this topping tail. On the weekends, I always do, bar by bar analysis. I always like to post everybody's like, their chart patterns and their what a candlesticks mean. Well, look at this doji candle away from the 8-day. Who the hell would be buying that? You're a seller of that. Anyway, it was a good little put play, and now, we'll see what happens here. So in these 3 down days is when money went elsewhere. So now the question is, does it come back in? UNH, I hate UNH. Anyway, I'm not in UNH. If you're in UNH, you're not having a good morning. It happens. I don't wish bad on anybody, but UNH was acting better. So it's, I don't think you didn't do anything wrong by being in UNH. It's just sitting here in a channel, below the moving averages. So just kind of sucks. Excuse my French, but it's unfortunate. Down 44. Wow, that hurts. Again, don't make fun of people if they're in a trade that doesn't work. It's going to happen to you, and karma's a bitch. So UNH, I am not in, and none of my community's in. I don't trade really that many New York stocks, but that kind of nothing you could have really seen here, if you were in it. So it's just unfortunate. Just make the right to, So I would say, what's this? This low here is 302. So maybe it tries to hold this 302 area. It doesn't hold 302. There's a big gap below. So just take care and just know that things happen. It's unfortunate. I'm not in that. And if you're in it, just try and think about, what you can handle risk wise. Chances are, you're probably not a day trader anyway. No one's day trading UNH. You're just probably in it because you thought there was a value there. So see if this level holds. Let's talk about NVIDIA for a second. Somebody just brought up NVIDIA. So, NVIDIA is one of my, so all of a sudden, boom, these names in tech change really fast, and they have like a huge day. So some people like, Red Dog, why are you in NVIDIA? I'm not in NVIDIA shares. I was buying some 192.50s for Friday, just in case, news came out was like, China chip friendly and NVIDIA friendly, and just in case, the hyperscalers say how much money they're spending there. So I've been buying the 192.50s for Friday. Today's Tuesday. I will add shares if we can get above this little descending trend line here, which it hasn't been able to. So it keeps getting rejected here. But at some point, if it were to get above there, it could be a nice trade. So for those of you invested in NVIDIA, stay there. For those of you looking for a trade, I would, it's got to get above this 189.70, and it's not. It's only up 90 cents. Look how cute this is. Look, Apple all of a sudden, you can't do no wrong. It's up 3. Couldn't get out of its own way, and NVIDIA is still stuck. So what I like to do is, if I anticipate, I buy some options, and then when the trade triggers, I go after. And right now, the trade hasn't triggered for NVIDIA yet. It's just still kind of caught here. But keep that on the radar. I agree. Meta, if you got long Meta, when it finally showed its face here, look how fast that just repaired. This 675 to 680 is going to be, some pretty big resistance, and then you have this huge gap here. So, if anything, don't be shorted. So some people want to talk metal. So yesterday, I didn't get short because I don't like to short parabolic moves just in case. But into this move higher, I started buying SLV puts. I did. Right around 101, I bought some puts all the way up to like 103, 104 to anticipate maybe just to move back to the 8-day. So with that being said, I use a tier system. So once it broke, it did break a little bit, I actually sold half. So I was buying the options at 275. I was selling them at 450, 475, and I still have half on. I do. Okay, and it's up 350. So what I'll probably do here is I will add back a little bit. I have them for Friday. I was figuring if it's going to break, today's Tuesday, maybe through the Fed. So I will add a little bit more today. It's not going to be a hyper focus. I'm not shorting the SLV. Maybe I'll short some SLV versus today because you have a new point of reference. But I'll add a little bit and see what happens. I also bought a little Dust and a little ZSL. But after hours, they were all up huge, and I sold over half. So that's why I use a tier system. And plus, you don't count your money the day before because you never know what's going to happen. So I will add a little bit to this and see how it works out. And if it breaks above 106.70, which I don't think it will, then you better know what to do. If you short SLV itself, you better cover. Maybe you get a lower high here and it pulls in. So if you are in some, add a little bit to it and figure it out. Anyway, with that being said, you got to trade around positions and try some things. Not everything works perfect. Some guys like, what about iron? Well, iron, I still like it. Yesterday it was weaker, right? So, I'm not in iron stock. I'm in some options for earnings. I'm in the $60 call. So if it were to, continue, like just say the early strength holds here, it doesn't look so bad. And then maybe it takes out 58.75, but this isn't where the action is. If money rotates, if day 4, now just say mega cap tech opens up and it pulls in and money rotates back here, I think that's fine. You know what? I will say APLD was a good example, a great example of using a tier system and knowing how to react. So APLD, I came in long options and the stock early in the morning. I bought a little bit more with actually guys that are actually testing out the alpha team on a whatever it's called, on a trial. And I bought some and I added through 39. I added through 40. And then I trimmed some all the way up to 41.61 to get the additional shares off. And then I was back in what I had. I sold some options. And then once it couldn't hold 39 and 40, I got rid of it. Because now instead of a clean breakout, it just wasn't ready yet. So now you got to see if it rebuilds here. Can APLD hold 35.72 rebuild and try again in a week or less? Who knows? But bottom line is it wasn't a clean breakout. It didn't hold. Get above and stay above is one of my key terms out there. Does it get above and stay above, show commitment and continue, or does it get above and push and shorts get squeezed and people get baited in and fail? That's kind of what it did. So see what happens today. What's APLD doing today? It's up $1. So maybe it rebuilds in here and then continues to go. But we'll see. All in all, though, you have to have your levels, you have to have your preparation, and you have to move your feet. You got to know what's happening, when it's happening, and why it's happening. You can't have too strong of opinions because if the market doesn't confirm it, all it is a damn opinion. So that's why I'm up every day. That's why I'm up early, because I get my multiple plans. There's a lot of sectors on the move. Even XLE. XLE was a great trade, but again, extended from the 8-day all the way up here. Some people are talking, oh my God, XLE is breaking out. Well, it was a better trim into this instead of buying. Here's your 8-day. In here was your better buy in the hole. Shall we buy the Oklo at the 200 day? I don't know. Maybe, but it's not acting great. Oklo gave you a double top at 114, right? Double top, sold into strength. Okay, after this is when we were buying it here, adding here, got rid of it. And then all of a sudden on this day actually was the day where it said, hey, they're selling strength, and it's just blah. So again, not like this when it was above the 821 day, then held it again, and then did a move to 193 before a red dog reversal. So every day is telling you something if you'll listen to it. If you don't listen to it and all you have is an opinion and you're stubborn and you say, I got to be right, that's not the way you're going to make a living in trading. You don't have to be right. You have to adjust based on what the market's telling you, not what you think. You can have multiple plans, and then it's only an opinion unless the market confirms it. And right here, this turned into a double top, and then it bled lower. It happens. Anyway, Intel, what is it? I don't know. I think you have a big hole in the chart. Everyone finally started to think, oh, Intel's good again, and then boom. So I would say maybe at the 50-day you could buy back some Intel. I'm really not that interested. What's it doing today? All right, it's up $1.72, which is kind of cute because if you look here, it didn't give you any kind of clue, right, that it's gonna close on the dead lows, and now it's up $1.60. Anyway, market will just the computers are getting better and better, guys. So either give things more room, be very on your toes, and just make sure you have different types of just strategies, because the strategies change as we go through this. Anyway, someone asked me about MSOS. Just hanging here. I do have a lot of $6 and $7 calls. If you were to buy options on MSOS, I wouldn't go out to February. Just go out to March. It costs you 30 cents more, and then forget you own it. If Trump comes out and starts ranting about safe banking and companies being registered, you'll have it. But it's not a hyper focus. It's just it's actually one of the crappiest sectors for the past 5 years, and it felt like it's a good setup, but as of right now, it's doing a whole lot of nothing. So go out and buy options and don't let it bother you. Lilly, I haven't looked at this in a while. Held a 50-day right there. Give you a red dog reversal top right there. It's just like APLD, it happens elsewhere. It got through 1111, couldn't hold it, and now it's just building an upper channel. Looks all right. Is there news out or anything doing today? Let's see, what's Lilly doing today? Lilly is doing a whole lot of nothing. So it looks good. Remember when Lilly woke up? Lilly woke up right here. Lilly woke up right here when this descending channel broke to the upside, and now it's trying to rebuild. Wasn't ready to break out there. It's going sideways. So we'll see. Some people like this NVO, which looks pretty decent. Remember that gap up right there on that news? Looks like, this is getting a little bit better. It's been battered and bruised, and maybe it wants to fill that gap above. So it depends where you want to live. This looks okay. It looks like it's going to fill 68.47. All right, guys, it's a 6:51. I'm having an open house right now, so if you want to come into the open house, just come on in. We have 3 days left. We're doing our TrendSpider is going to do a presentation about a lot of their analytics and tools that they could help you with. I use TrendSpider right there. They're great for active traders. CRM, before we go. CRM, I think, just came out with some news I saw this morning. What is it's CRM? It's up 5. So a lot of these broken, low valuation now tech stocks are bouncing. They're all broken bounces. So measure where the moving average is so you don't chase it. So this looks like there's some room here. Probably right now it's at 234. If I were playing CRM, which I'm not, I would say, hey, maybe there's some room to, 240, and then maybe even a little bit more room. Right now CRM is up a bunch. It's up 2.2%. They came out with a big deal, I think, with the military. So, if you played it for a broken bounce, you're getting paid, but it's still nowhere. Look at this, nowhere. So again, our job is to play some tactical moves, but really it's finding the trend that you could stay with by a dip and let it make higher lows and higher highs. And there's not that many names doing it, but there are some. Yes. So M. Senny says IGV, perfect. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh my God, Red Dog, you missed ServiceNow. I missed ServiceNow these 3 little friggin' days. I missed it. Come on. These are like surgical, tactical, broken bounces. Maybe you can get to here, maybe you can get a little higher. Those type of things are not going to make you money over time for a living. You have to get a little lucky. But anyway, it's all good. Some of them start new active sequences that behave better, and some of them don't. But for now, Service now just had a broken bounce, and where could it get to? Maybe it gets to the 21-day, maybe it gets a little bit higher. I appreciate you too, Mac. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see what shakes out. Fed day is tomorrow, so don't get caught falling asleep behind the wheel because things, feel decent and, they're massing. Like the indices were up so much yesterday because there was like 4 names up. It was Microsoft, it was Meta. But again, look at Microsoft. Everyone's like, Red Dog, you missed Microsoft. I'm like, I missed Microsoft? No, I didn't. Look, all it did is have a broken bounce. Yes, you could have tactically bought through 453, and now it goes back to here. But if you Microsoft's just back to where it was into this consolidation. So again, that's why you never want to press to the downside. In the same way, it's hard to buy high and sell higher these days. Gold is the same thing as silver, kind of. It didn't look as severe yesterday. Put a little bit of a doji in, and see what happens today. I think today's gonna be an interesting day on the metals. Do they open up and do they sell the strength and they go red? That would give a little bit more clues that they need a rest, or do they open up, hold, and push through anybody who tried to short them yesterday? So this is 469. So this is yesterday's low, 460, and this is yesterday's high. We had a lot of good power. We had a power play here, a power play here. Recently, we had one there. I am not in gold. I am a little short silver through puts, but we'll see. So anyway, gold right now is what? So this is gold. It's up $1 only now, so it's not really crazy, Actually, is this the GLD? It's up $1.60. I'm sorry. And what's silver doing? It's up 259. So we'll see. Do these things go from green to red today and, give people a little bit of pushback? Hey, maybe. We'll see. Either which way. Poet's down big. Let's see. Poet's not down big. It's up 29 cents. What's the matter with you? It's up 29 cents, and they did a big money raise. Small caps are lower. So, buy more. It's building. These are the type of things you have to accumulate for it to go. Small caps, the concept plays, and then the charts have to build. Some of you guys played Poet awesome. Some of you played it like crap, right? Well, Poet went from a red dog reversal low of 411 to $9. $9. So hopefully you trim some, and then so you're smaller. So anyway, with that being said, after a money raise, it takes time. Same thing with this RDW. A lot of guys got really pissed off at me yesterday. They look at how bad RDW is. I'm like, we were buying it below 8, added right here, sold some. I think we added more, sold some, added more. It made a high of January, went to 1374 from $8. If you chased it up there and that was your first buy, yeah, you're pissed off. All it did is come down to the 8-day. You have to have perspective, and entries and exits matter. And before you get all pissed off at the market or at the names, look at your entries and exits and look in the mirror and figure out if you did it right or wrong. All right, guys, I'll see you later.